let the explosion continue. Here we are, ASA Women in Leadership Scholarship winner, the one, the only, from Tampa, Florida, Isabella.
Hi, everybody. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me, Richard.
Nice. How's sunny Florida today? Nice and 80 degrees?
Yeah, the sun is definitely starting to show its face again. We had a really beautiful winter this year, so I think that means summer is coming with a vengeance for sure. So getting ready for a hot couple of months.
All right. So Tampa, Florida. Do you know where Ybor City is?
I do. I have been a few times for a couple different things, some shows, just a day out. It's definitely a great place to explore. A lot of development happening there right now.
Okay. So Tampa's one of my second homes. My grandma and grandpa used to live there for like 30 years. Clearwater Beach. They loved it. Tarpon Springs. Some good Greek food. Love it.
Every grandparent loves the Florida weather. That's what brought us down here too. My grandparents. I'm originally from Canada, so I think they were looking for a change in climate, and so Florida is where we all ended up.
What's your favorite part of Florida? I mean, besides living where you're at, is there a certain beach? Let's go there because everybody says Florida has the best beaches. Sanibel Island, is that one?
I haven't had the pleasure of going to Sanibel, actually. I am a little biased. My family and I, we've had a little condo on Anna Maria Island for a very, very long time. So it's very quaint. It's got the colorful houses and everything. There's a great couple ice cream shops and everything. So I would probably have to say like Coquina Beach, Anna Maria Island, that area.
I love it. Florida is so much fun. Every time you go there, I mean, we're going to have Staffing World there this year too in Orlando. So I mean, you'll be there, what, in an hour? Not even that.
Yeah, it's, one less airfare this year. So I'm super excited that it's going to be in our neck of the woods. Nashville was incredible, but we definitely have lots of things to do here in Orlando. So it'll be nice to have Staffing World this year and thrive.
All right. So you ready to deep dive in? You ready for a good chat here? Because I'm going to tell you what, the girls have pumped you up. They said, when you meet Isabella, look out. That's all I have to say behind the scenes.
Well, I'm excited to hopefully live up to that. They're all wonderful, but I definitely would say I bring the energy to a lot of groups for sure.
I love it. Okay, so let's go way back. Let's rewind to your college days or whatever like that. Okay, in college, naturally, you're not going to end up in staffing. Who does that? So what was your career choice like? What were you thinking?
I actually had gone into my university on an entrance scholarship for medical science. So my entire life, I was on the path of becoming a doctor. I really wanted to be a surgeon. That was one of those decisions that year one into university quickly realized it was not the path for me. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to realize that early on. A lot of people, hi, Danny. A lot of people, maybe find out a little bit too late or don't have the chance to, discover what they want to do until, many, many years later in life. So I think I was lucky in a lot of ways to realize very quickly and pivot from there. So I still really loved healthcare and still do. It's the industry that I've always been the most passionate about. And so I focused on the more socialized aspect of it. So the people within healthcare and kind of that back end that not a lot of people are aware of, where that's really what runs healthcare and what puts people in the positions to help others. So that, and then a passion for marketing kind of culminated into a double major for me. And like I think all of the other girls have mentioned, and like anybody that you ask in staffing kind of finds you. So I joined the staffing industry towards the end of the pandemic. So I got a little bit of a taste of how that madness looked. And yeah, I've been loving it ever since. I think sometimes still I can't believe that I wound up in the staffing industry. It's not one of those ones that a lot of people really think about, but it's one of those ones that's so extremely important. And you realize that the longer that you're in it, that it's not going anywhere anytime soon, and is only growing.
You got it. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. Listen to your mom. I seen on your profile. Yeah, mama said best. So let's break that down there and give me the story.
So my mom is my biggest cheerleader. I am quite literally
Yes.
a mini her. If you have ever caught a picture of her at my age, we kind of look exactly the same. We have the same mannerisms, everything. So I got all of the best parts of her. And you know, growing up, I didn't know it then, but a lot of the things that she said rang very true and still continue to be true this day. So I think on a professional network like LinkedIn, sometimes people need to be reminded that your mom is usually right and she's usually got your best interests at heart.
Mhm.
Always been the case for me. And so that was kind of one of those things that I think was very embodied my approach to a lot of things. She's been a really important guidance in my life and has yet to steer me wrong. So listen
I
to
love that part. Okay, so I got to ask you. So, if you look like her, did you take her ID once in a while when you were underage?
I did not, but I did
Ooh.
learn how to forge her signature in like third grade. So I was getting field trip things signed, all that kind of stuff at a very, very
Get
early
out.
age. So sorry, mom, but I didn't do the IDs. I did do the signature though.
And you never got caught.
Actually, I got caught at a parent-teacher conference. So back in the day, you had to have your parents sign a planner every single night to kind of check off that you did your homework and that your parent watched you do your homework. And so at the parent-teacher conference, I'm sitting in the back of the room while the teacher and my mom are chatting. And the teacher remarks that I'm one of the only students in the class whose parent has signed every single night since the school year
No
started.
way.
And so my mom's like, that's weird. I don't think I've ever even seen this planner to begin with. And I'm sheepishly in the corner having to admit that I did, in fact, learn how to forge her signature at the ripe age of 7. So
Pretty genius. What made you do it instead of taking it home? Was there a reason why?
I've always been a very independent person in that sense. I
Yeah.
thankfully was a good student. So it's not like I was not doing my homework. I just didn't need those extra set of eyes looking at it and making sure that my, you know, spelling test was done properly. So I think it came from more of like an independence than like just trying to hide. But yeah, I just figured that skip the middleman, just get it signed and, you know, go about your day.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I did the same thing in fourth grade.
There we go.
It was called
Just be
Mrs. Rosner, and my
yeah.
mom went to that parent teacher conference, and she's like, "That's not my signature." It was so bad. It was so bad because we had to take our homework home and get it signed,
Yeah.
our test. And fortunately, I didn't. I was watching football and didn't study for this test and got like a D on it. So I'm like, I'll just forge it.
There you go. I still
Yeah.
haven't learned my dad's signature, but my mom's was easy enough to figure out and get in there at an early age. So
You do it once, and then your parents find out, and you're like, you never do it again because it's like
yeah, I
ah,
think I think I probably stopped after that. I think I was a little bit more upfront with what needed to be signed by my mom after that. But I just always had that skill in the back pocket just in case.
you got it. Too funny. Okay, so your mom. Let's go a little bit more deeper, where she was kind of recommending you should be into marketing because she's seen your skills. So break that down. Like, did you do something? And she's like, "Wow, you're so creative now."
I think so. I had a marketing class. It was like an elective that I took in high school, and I had transferred from one high school to the next. So I think it was like literally one of the only electives that had space left. So it was kind of just one of those things. But I ended up really enjoying the class and kind of just like really embracing the projects and stuff in it. It was a lot of things where we just sort of did synopses and examined like large companies that have been successful in their marketing. So I'm pretty sure I was doing like a PowerPoint on like Walt Disney or something like major
Ooh,
like
yeah.
that. And I showed my mom all of my assignments like that, especially the ones that I spent a lot of time on and everything. She's a teacher, so it was always nice to kind of have an educator's eyes before I actually turned in an assignment.
So time out. She was a teacher when you got caught with the forgery.
So she became a teacher, I think a year after that. So she started, she was like a teacher aide, and she would come in like as a
Mhm.
parent and help in the classroom. And then from there, she started doing substitute gigs and stuff. It's very easy to kind of become a substitute in Florida. And then the principal of my elementary school actually offered her a job because she was very involved in the whole school. Everybody knew who my mom was. She has this like big puff of like curly hair, so you could catch her from like the other side of the
I
school.
love it.
So yeah, she was a very very famous character at Palmetto Elementary, and yeah, so that's how she became a teacher, and she did it for quite a few years before taking a back seat from that during COVID.
All right, well, let's go in. Sorry for the interruption. I had to ask
No,
because
you're
I
good.
was like forgery and a teacher. Oh boy, this is double
I think
whammy
he
here.
became a teacher to keep an eye on me. Who knows?
Maybe that forgery signature made her say, hey, "It's time for me to teach."
Yeah, it's time for me to get like right in there and see what's going on. But yeah, she always was very involved in my projects and stuff like that in school, even before becoming a teacher. But she would have to sit there and listen to my presentations and all of that kind of stuff and give me some pointers. And I remember it very vividly. She just one night after one of the presentations was like, you have a career in marketing. And she was the person who was signing me up for camps during the summer to go and do like dissections of organs and stuff like that. She was very much like cheering me on in the path of becoming a medical professional. And so I remember just that one comment. I think it was just like a very casual type of thing. It just stuck with me where I was like, what is she talking about? Like marketing? Why would I do that? I have a very clear path set forward for me. And, it's just one of those things that kind of followed me throughout all of these years. And coincidentally enough, has been exactly where I've found myself. So it was kind of one of those full circle things too, when I had become a marketing professional and I was looking back and writing my LinkedIn bio, that I was like, okay, you should really listen to your mom more, because like even those little one-off comments, they know you better than you know yourself sometimes. And here we are.
She had a good eye for talent, right? I mean, 'cause you could have went some total different direction, and at a young age, I mean, I wanted to be a school bus driver and a firefighter. Come on now. My mom's like, you're not going to be a school bus driver, really?
I
Like,
wanted to be a ballerina with purple skin when I was in preschool. So I'm not sure how that was going to play out, but definitely, went all over the place with my career goals throughout life.
so when did you really find out? Because you're doing these PowerPoints, and which Walt Disney, give a shout out to Walt Disney. What a great
Love him.
visionary that guy was. Man, I mean, bringing the Never Never Land to everybody. Gotta love
King
it,
of branding, really knew what he was doing.
Oh, way beyond his times. Maybe a century beyond his times. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yes,
it's
for sure.
amazing. So when did you really realize that this is something I really want to do? Because you're doing these PowerPoints, your mom sees the talent. You're just thinking it's another project. Is there a time where you're like, this is what Isabella wants to do the rest of my life?
I don't think that happened until a couple of years ago. So, fast forwarding through school, through COVID. During COVID, I was working in direct patient care. So I was a phlebotomist at one point. And then I was the center manager of a community health clinic here in Tampa. So kind of a very like hard and fast pivot, and found myself in the staffing industry for specifically healthcare staffing, because I still wanted to be able to do something and work with healthcare professionals. I started at Ardor as a recruiter. It was definitely not my strongest forte, but I'm very lucky to have a company that saw in me that I had skills that could be utilized instead on the account executive side. So I was working with facilities to, get their open needs and stuff.
Mhm.
And so I had been at Ardor for just under 2 years and had the opportunity to see, sort of both sides of the sales side of the company. I was very close with everybody in payroll and credentialing. And so I was starting to form this picture of how the organization is run in my head. And I sort of noticed that there was a gap, if you will, in the marketing side of things. And that's something that I have a background in. I am very well versed in the healthcare industry and kind of how to speak the language of a clinician. And so I just sat there one day talking to my partner and was like, I think I'm just gonna like put a presentation together and, you know, share it with my leadership and just kind of pitch myself as like this solution to this gap that I'm seeing that that can really take us to the next level. And you know, this was kind of as the dust was settling from the pandemic being over and everything, and everybody in the staffing industry is kind of figuring out, you know, what's next. I think that 2022, 2023 is kind of like the year span where everybody's figuring out what their identity is next. And so it was during that time where I figured that, you know, with this gold rush that happened, especially in healthcare staffing, you know, the boom with travel nursing and everything was just like astounding. And so there was a lot more saturation in the industry and everything. And, you know, it was all about how to stand out and how to really connect with clinicians from there and show, you know, what makes you different from all of the other agencies that are in the space. And so marketing and focusing on your brand and honing in on what that message is really where a lot of that comes from. And that's where any consumer, any audience, you know, viewing your company is going to make their decision from. And so I put together what I would definitely say nowadays is not a very sexy presentation, but I put together a PowerPoint and I put a meeting on my president Steph's calendar and my COO Mike's calendar. And I literally titled it, I have something to show you. And then I put in the notes, nothing bad, I promise. Like I didn't want to, you know, scare them. And I threw them in the conference room one day and very shakily gave this 20, 30-minute presentation where I kind of shared how our areas that we can kind of focus on to grow our marketing. And at the very end was a big old picture of me. And then like, you know, can I do it? And they graciously said yes. It was, you know, one of those days that I'm definitely never going to forget. I remember walking out of the office that day and driving home and just being like, holy shit, I can't believe I just did that. Like, I can't believe that it worked. I can't believe that this is an opportunity that I literally carved out for myself out of essentially nothing. And so from there, it was really just building and developing, you know, a whole department from scratch. You know, we're a company that's been around for almost 25 years. So there was plenty of stuff to work with, but it was really just kind of refining it, bringing it into 2024, 2025, looking to the future and that sort of thing. So it's been very exciting. And yeah, that's kind of when I realized that this is something that I can do, and this is something that I'm good at, and this is something that I could definitely see myself doing for a very long time.
Pitching yourself to a company you work for. I love it. Seriously. No, it's amazing. So let's just go back. How did you find this company? I mean, was it on Indeed, Monster?
I found it on LinkedIn. You know, Arter loves LinkedIn, big, huge fans of LinkedIn. So shout out LinkedIn. You know, it was one of those companies. I was burnt out from patient care, but I was trying to find something that was still within healthcare. And I'd had one other recruiting position that I'd done, you know, way back when. And so I thought, okay, well, I could do recruiting, you know, like healthcare is like something I can talk about all day long. And so I could definitely talk to clinicians and help them find positions that they're passionate to be in. And so I found it on there. I was like, oh, it's local, it's family owned. These are a lot of like values and stuff that I really align myself with, especially from the company that I was leaving at the time. So it was a lot of things where I think it just sort of fell into place. I remember having my first couple of interviews with Mike, and I was like, God, this guy is like so nice. I've never had like such a kind interviewer for a job before. And then I will never forget my very first day. Me and one other gal started, and I walked into the office and there was all of this like nautical stuff, like decorating the office. And Mike and Steph took us out for lunch that day. And this is literally day one. They were like, so do you guys have passports? We're going on a Margaritaville cruise in December with the whole team. And, you know, we would like for you guys to join. I'm literally texting my boyfriend under the table, like, dude, I'm going on a cruise. I literally just started at this place. So it was one of those, real? It was one of those like surreal type of things where I was like, okay, this is definitely like, you know, loyalty in day one.
Yeah, this doesn't happen in the industry. I've been in it for 10 years.
No.
I've never been on a cruise yet.
It was definitely quite an experience. It was an older boat. I think one of our team members, like her bathroom door fell off in her cabin. So it was one of those, memories that's just like a really big inside joke with the team now. But it was one of those things that I'm glad I went.
Where's the life jacket at? You and your
Yes, exactly. Just like taking stock of all the lifeboats, seeing how far it is from your room type of deal. But it was so fun. And I think we were like way too drunk to even remember the worst of it. So it was a really good bonding experience.
Damn, I like your company already. Tell your boss, man, next time he goes, bring the shark down. Nautica, boating, drinks, I'm there.
Arter loves
I'll pay for my airfare too. I'll just get down and I'll be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, we would love to have the shark anytime.
Okay, so you get your first day. Talk about the recruiting part, because you brought out like, oh, did you like recruiting? Or tell me your first day in recruiting, because a lot of people, I mean, people hang up on you. What were you thinking?
I think that was a lot of it. And you know, it's stuff that I've had to grow and learn about myself over the past couple of years. So I would say if I sat in front of the recruiting desk now, I would definitely have a much better experience than me 3 years ago. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. I'd never been in a room before where everybody's kind of cold calling in the same spot. This was before we went remote. So I had kind of stage fright a little bit. And then for a lot of it, I think my biggest thing was just kind of telling people what I saw as like the difficult stuff. So whether that was something wasn't going to work out for a position that a nurse wanted, or just anything that meant that you weren't the yes man. And that was always what I wanted to be, because I thought that that's how you were helping the person on the other end of the phone the most, when really, you know, being upfront and, you know, being
100%.
realistic and just talking to them like an adult is really what they're looking for, and what a lot of clinicians, as I've come to learn, look for in their recruiter. They want somebody who's a straight shooter, but also has their best interests at heart. And so it's been really cool to see from the marketing standpoint, sort of watching the recruiting team as they do that, and especially the ones that do it exceptionally well, and then getting to amplify that for them. So I really found my niche in like building the brand of the recruiting team and the sales team, and kind of being the witch behind the curtains, taking care of all of that stuff. So I really like to view others and amplify what they're really good at. But yeah, it was not my forte at the time, but I'm very glad that I had that foot in the door and the opportunity to do it at some point, so that I can really have a lot of empathy and understanding for what recruiters are going through.
Okay, so give me a wild recruiting story. I know you have one. Is there one that's over the like your first couple months, like somebody says something or didn't show up for work? Or...
I have one, and funny enough, it was the very first person that I had like locked into an assignment. So it was a crisis contract, and I remember we were getting ready for her onboarding and stuff like that, and it was going to be a very quick turnaround for credentialing and stuff. And she let me know that she had a quick vacation to Paris that her boyfriend had booked for her. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm very naive in the recruiting industry at this point, so I'm very much just happy for her. I remember the last conversation I had with her, she was like literally in the airport. You could hear like all the noise in the background. And then I never heard from her again. And so I kind of did a little bit of a deep dive on social media and managed to find her. She had gotten proposed to in front of the Eiffel Tower, and her partner was a very wealthy lawyer, I want to say, and pretty much told her she never needed to work again. And so she took that very literally and like cut off ties from her entire nursing career and just like went about her day. I hope she's doing wonderful. And it was just one of those very quick learning moments where I was like, okay, you know, you can't just take everything at face value. Sometimes stuff like this will happen. But yeah, that was one of those experiences where I was like, oh my goodness, like, you know, and to see the picture of the proposal and everything, it was absolutely beautiful. But I was definitely heartbroken to have my first kind of win totally just crushed by that.
Okay, so how did you have to go to your supervisor and explain that to them? Come on.
I think I had to come like with the receipts. Like I literally had to like show the picture and everything. And, you know, in typical sales fashion, we're kind of like, is there anything we can do to save this? No, this is very much one of those instances where I think we've kind of lost this one. I think this one's kind of just slipped through the cracks. Like if you're getting told you don't have to ever work again and it's with a diamond ring on your finger, I think she's actually going to follow through with that. And we probably will not be hearing from her.
Which is a wise decision. If it happens, it happens. Go for it. But it's kind of funny how she like kind of fed you in the whole time, and you're hyped up and thinking, "I'm getting this placement. I'm rocking and rolling," and then you find out it's a whole just hoax.
I truly think she had no idea that she was getting proposed to in Paris. Like it seemed like a very normal trip for her, but it was one of those things where it was just as much of a surprise to her as a surprise to me. But I don't think she maybe had the ability to kind of explain that one to her recruiter. I think that's definitely one of those things that would sound a little bit out there and kind of like, oh, you're BSing. But no, like that was very much the case. That was exactly what happened.
Yeah, she probably had a new phone. Everybody was deleted. It was a new life. It's like, okay.
Yep. She's on her jet set lifestyle now. So, you know, what can
well,
you do?
She's probably ride one of them boats. Probably owns the boats in Florida, you know?
Exactly.
So how long were you a recruiter?
It was a little bit of a short time. It was a couple of months, and then I spent the majority of my time working on the account management side. So that was really where I spent a fair bit of time, you know, learning all of the clients that we had and really what our business needs were on a staffing standpoint. And so I did that for a little under a year, and then that's when I started to pivot towards a marketing opportunity with the company.
What made you, I know you talked about this a little bit, but what made you, okay, you're account manager, and were you getting tired of that? Like, were you like, you wanted another challenge? Is that what it was? Or?
I think that was part of it. You know, it was definitely a time in the healthcare staffing industry where I think everybody was pulling back, and that included the facilities as well. You know, everyone's kind of re-examining their budget for travel clinicians, if they even wanted them. I think everybody kind of were holding their cards very close to the chest, which completely understand. But it did make things definitely very difficult and a little bit discouraging on the account management side. So I think I was trying to look for ways where we could kind of still give ourselves an edge and still grow as a company, even though this is kind of the reality that we were facing for a while there. And I think we're definitely getting to a point on all sides of the healthcare staffing industry where we're kind of starting to steady after that. It was, you know, sort of two sides of the extreme. Everybody was basically giving away the whole cow during part of COVID. And then
money.
It was, I mean, if you were a travel nurse, like you just saw.
You were making as much money as a doctor or more. You were banking.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I saw some people making incredible money, and you know, it's really what their value is. They're doing incredible work, especially during the pandemic. So it was hard for all sides of the industry when a lot of that dried up, if you will, and when a lot of that you know, funding and cash flow went away. And so everybody kind of took some time to look inward, including us, and figure out what was next. And really for us, it's growing our brand and stuff online. You know, you will die without a digital platform nowadays.
100%. Say it again, Isabella, say it again. Digital platform is the way to go. Gary Vee says it's digital platform, not a billboard, a digital platform.
Exactly. So, you know, it's figuring out what our audience is, what our audience wants, what our audience needs. And so we're employing a couple of different unique strategies to figure out where we kind of land within the healthcare staffing space. And we're really excited to take everything that we've learned in the last couple of years. A lot of it was a learning opportunity for me. You know, we just had Nurses Week, I know. And so last year was my first Nurses Week as a marketing professional. And it's like a Super Bowl basically for healthcare staffing companies. So, you know, it was really cool this year to kind of take everything that I learned last year and employ that into Nurses Week. But yeah, it's been really awesome.
I love it. Nurse Week, shout out. I did a podcast series last week and it was great to have. Next year, you guys are welcome to join us, and talk, bring some of your nurses on and talk
Yeah,
shop talk. So,
we'd
okay,
love
so
to.
let's talk about marketing now before we dive
Okay.
into the good old scholarship. What's your take on marketing right now? I mean, can you give any tips out there, and I'm going to let you talk about this, because I love to talk about it too. But what do you see in 25 is really going to rock it out if you're a staffing industry for marketing?
I think authenticity is really the biggest thing. If you look up a healthcare staffing agency, for example, a lot of them kind of look the same or sort of have very similar, mission and vision. And we all obviously have a common goal here, but I think that a lot of it is sort of what else you bring to the table. So for us, it's always been the fact that we were family owned. We have been that way since 2001. It has not faltered. It has not changed. It's now the second generation of that family that's driving the boat, which is very cool to see. It's a women owned company. So women and uplifting those groups of people who are usually sort of put off to the side is very important to us. So those types of values that we actually stand behind those. And so that's what you really want to put forward and amplify. And then also having a very specific brand voice. And so for us, it's very informal, very engaging. We want to just, sit down on the couch with you and just talk it out. We just want to, person to person type of approach to things rather than a very like stuffy sales model.
Yeah.
We're very much genuine in the fact that we want you to enjoy what you're doing, because when you enjoy what you're doing, then we enjoy what we're doing. And it's a very symbiotic relationship in staffing, especially between a recruiter and, the people that they're working with to place. And so, for us, it's been putting forth that authenticity, continuing to remain consistent with that fact. A branding for a lot of people, they'll hit the gas pedal for a couple of weeks, a couple of months on a certain campaign, and then it kind of just fizzles out and maybe they're on to the next thing, or maybe they just sort of stop altogether. And that consistency and authenticity is really what's going to get through to people. I'm a very big proponent of adult learning, like the concept of adult learning. You have to throw something at an adult like 10 to 15 times before they really kind of get through to it, especially when you're in, this world of the internet where you have a million things to look at. Exactly. So it takes a little bit of time to kind of get through to a particular audience and really hone in on that. But once you have that community, they're not going away anytime soon unless you tell them to kick rocks. And, building that community is really where a lot of the time and the effort and the heavy lifting comes in. But then nurturing that community is one of the most fun, most fulfilling opportunities that you get to do. I'm sure, with the Staffing Shark community, it was not something that happened overnight, but now that they're here, they're tuning in every time you have a show going on. And so that authenticity and being truly who you are and remaining consistent with that messaging is why you've managed to get so far in this industry yourself.
I love what you said there, and you hit all the heads. I got one word for you. Love it. Ready for this? Valuetainment. Got to bring value, but entertainment. You got to be, humor. Humor is, I'm going to tell you, half the cancer clients I get is because they're like, I don't care what you sell. You're freaking funny and cool. It's like, I don't wear a suit jacket in. If I'm doing a light industrial, I'm dressing like them. I'm bringing protein shakes. You summed it up right there. Just be yourself and be real. And I think in our industry, that's what candidates and clients want now. After COVID, I think we got more relaxed. If anything came out of COVID, people realize now we can laugh and joke now.
Yeah.
More than we did before.
Yeah. You can't take things so seriously. And I mean, you can't, because even in, our internal cultural day-to-day things, our team meetings and stuff, we gamify a lot of things. I don't know if you know what Kahoot is, but Kahoot is one of the most used platforms that we have internally. We love to turn things into a game, into a competition, and just kind of make a little bit of fun out of it. We're not in a life or death industry, if you will. And so, it's not going to hurt to add a little bit of joy and a little bit of fun to things. I even have in my LinkedIn tagline, professional silly goose, because that's really how I feel a lot of
Yes,
times.
I've seen that. Explain that. Who gave you that name, or is that you just named yourself?
I just pulled that out one day when kind of trying to figure out how to encapsulate my approach to a lot of things professionally. There's obviously a time and a place to be serious, but I think in a lot of ways we could really do with a little bit of silliness and a little bit of, fun, and not take things as seriously, because as we learned with COVID, a lot of things can be taken away from us very quickly. And, sometimes life is short. And so somewhere that you're spending 40 hours a week or more, let's make it a little bit fun. And so that is our approach, whether it's with our internal corporate team, with our clinicians. We just want everybody to enjoy what they're doing. I've been at plenty of jobs before where I hated it the moment I opened my eyes before I even stepped into the office that morning. And that feeling is something that everybody can empathize with and has been there before. And so when you do get those moments where you notice that you're actually enjoying what you do, it really does make an impact, and you're definitely going to stick around a lot longer.
100%. Staffing's a lifestyle. I say this all the time, 24/7. Staffing is silly. There we go. There's our tagline, right?
I mean, if you went to the staffing world, it's silly.
Humor. My whole life is humor, because I might not be around tomorrow. I always do that motivational stuff. I tell people all the time, you got to laugh and joke. If somebody quits the job, don't take it to heart. Yeah, it's not your fault, their fault. It is what it is,
Yeah.
And I think if you bring humor in, people stay around. Retention is great. You know that.
And in being in the business of people, it's the greatest gift that you can give yourself is not taking it too seriously, because otherwise you will find yourself being let down or being frustrated or holding resentment or ruminating on all of these feelings. If you can just let it go and learn to laugh at some things, then you will find that you're enjoying the experience a lot more.
You summed it up. Staffing is silly. All right, so let's go to the main part here. So what made you apply for this scholarship?
So my president, Steph, had nominated me for it. Full disclosure, I had never heard of ASA prior to this. I had never heard of the Women in Leadership Scholarship. I walked into this at this time last year completely blind. And I think I had about 2 weeks left to fill out the application when it was kind of brought to me. I was initially just extremely honored that I was even considered for something like this, that I was even somebody that came to mind for it. And I think that the fact that a few months prior to that, I had placed myself in this position that I had pitched all on my own and created this opportunity for myself, I did feel a little bit more empowered to just kind of like, okay, like that in tandem with even being nominated or having my name put in by somebody, I think that's enough for me to sit down and take this seriously and see where it goes. I think kind of being a little ignorant to what it was going to entail and what was going to happen if I won was a gift in a way, because I didn't psych myself out with this huge opportunity. I did look at past winners and was kind of like, oh my goodness, like these are some heavy hitters here. Like these are some seriously incredible women. I do not know if I'm even going to be close to within their ranks. But I kind of took it in the same way that I filled out college applications. It was, you had a word limit for each question and everything. So it was just really trying to find a way to authentically voice my thoughts and answer the questions in like 500 to 700 words or less. And so that was really my biggest challenge, was taking all of my yapping and putting it into a couple of really concise and thoughtful sentences. And so, I think the most touching aspect of it when I turned it in was the letter of recommendation that I got from my president as well. So it was
Nice.
a very heartfelt letter that had called to a lot of examples of things that I had done for the company that it was cool to see was being recognized by executive leadership as well, and was even something that they wanted to share as their reasoning behind why I should receive the award.
Okay, so you think it's a long shot, don't even know what ASA is, and then you get this email on a Friday that says what?
So I remember I was like getting ready for the workday. I think I got the email like before 8 a.m. It was like really early, and I just had my laptop like sitting on the couch in my living room, and I was like, just walking around tidying up or whatever. And I see something come across my inbox and it says, "Congratulations." Fully think it's spam at first. I'm like, okay, that's like totally an email subject line they use to get you. And then I click into it and I read it and I'm like, oh my God, this is the thing I applied to that I put like a lot of work into, and
Yeah.
I literally got it. And I just like stood there just saying like, oh my God, like 6 or 7 times. And my partner's
Love
like,
it.
what's going on? And I'm like, I won the scholarship. Like I literally couldn't even get the words out. And then I think the first person I told other than that was Steph. I messaged her like first thing in the morning. I'm like, I won, I did it. I don't know how, but I got it. And I had a colleague who also applied to the scholarship last year. And so we couldn't believe it. Like we filled them out together. We couldn't believe that one of us had actually like won the award. It was just like sheer disbelief at first. And then from there, just like, again, still having no idea what I was getting myself into, even at each stage when, Diana was introducing us to each other and everything and telling us to get ready for this like wave of congratulations when it finally goes public and everything. I had no idea at each stage just really what I did, what the impact that it had, and really what I had managed to accomplish. It had not sunk in by any means at that point.
That's amazing. Okay, so you win this award. It's on a Friday. Did you celebrate? Did you go out? What'd you do? You had to tell your mom, of course. She's like your best friend.
Yes.
So what was your mom thinking?
She's like me, and I got this from her. She's a very emotional person. So happy tears were exchanged 100%. She couldn't believe it. She was one of only 2 people that had proofread my application before I sent it in. So, she's a little biased. She thought my application was a shoo-in, but then to actually like hear it and see that moment happen and me to actually achieve that was incredible for both of us. But it was a very cool thing to be able to call her and tell her that. I think even as each person I told, it was just like one of those things, like the words are coming out of my mouth, but I don't even fully, believe it and understand it yet. So it was very surreal.
I love it. Give your mom a shout out for confidence, right? She's like, my daughter's got this. Okay. So then, getting ready for Staffing World, and you probably have no clue what Staffing World is. You probably heard about it, but you've never been there because you're a part of ASA. And then you meet these amazing girls together finally for the first time. What's going through your head when you finally meet all these girls?
It's one of those things that's a little bit daunting at first. I think for a lot of women, meeting a group of women where you're kind of like blind set up together is intimidating for sure. I'm like, what am I walking into? We had an opportunity to kind of get to know each other on a couple of calls before that. But, when you're in person in the first time, that's really where, everything's going to come out. And so, like Brandy shared on her episode, we got there a day early, so it was nice to kind of have a chance to sort of feel each other out, get to know each other, and kind of walk into this as a collective group when we entered in for the conferences for the week. So it was really amazing to give ourselves that time to just kind of get to know each other. One of my executive leadership members, Jen and I, we put together some like goodie bags for all of the girls. So we had like custom mugs made, and just kind of like a couple of little things. So I brought those with with me to Nashville. And I was like, okay, this will be a great icebreaker. Who doesn't want a gift from a person they're meeting from the very first
Heck
time?
yeah.
So we all have our matching mugs and everything like that. So it was really nice to just kind of spend the day with them and get to know them. And I think it was almost like an unspoken agreement amongst all of us that we were all here to take full advantage of this opportunity, and we were here to do it as a team. And so thankfully we all hit it off immediately. We were sitting there on our first day of Thrive, and we were still trying to figure out, it's not required, but it's kind of tradition at this point for the winning groups to sort of come up with a nickname to sort of encapsulate the group and sort of speak for what they stand for. And we hadn't really figured ours out yet. And we realized on the first day of Thrive, all sitting at the table, that we're eldest daughters and we are big sisters. And so that was kind of where, just like that, we had our name and we had our group. And that really carried through not only the rest of Thrive staffing world, and has continued to carry on and kind of in our approach for our scholarship winning year. Somebody referred to it as your Miss America year. And that's kind of how we've all taken
Love it. Yes.
Going on tour, taking all of these opportunities that have been sent our way, but doing it all as a group of big sisters. And we're so excited to be the big sisters for the next group of women that win this year. And it's just been amazing. And it's all due to the incredible women that I was able to win alongside.
You know what's amazing is, I say this all the time, is like, there's only 7 or 8 of you every year out of so many women's in staffing, thousands on thousands. So, and it's something that's going to change your life forever in your career. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is. I mean, now as it's sunk in, almost 8 months later, a year, it's like, I mean, you appreciate it, but you're like, wow, this is something that's bigger, larger than life, really.
It is. And I mean, I think the moment where that really, really hits you is when you go on main stage at Staffing World, and, you've got the bright lights in your face and everything, but all of a sudden there's this huge room of people that are standing and cheering, and you're holding this award that, you won just by being yourself and expressing your thoughts and ideas. And I think that's really what is incredible about this award. And the fact that ASA and everybody involved with making this program possible is so supportive of it. I mean, the community that welcomes you into or inducts you into this world, you're there for life. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so true. It really does change the course of your career. It can be a launch pad for a lot of other opportunities. I've seen the incredible things that previous winners in previous years have done, and the incredible things that the 7 of us are able to do. So it's been really, really amazing. And it's one of those things that is very unique because it's a change maker for everybody involved in it. And I think that there's very few things like that that have such a maximum benefit that is spread far and wide.
Get a shout out from Diane. Look at that. You'll never forget us now.
You are unforgettable, Diana, for sure.
Yes. And we have some LinkedIn users, some badass women. I kind of like, that's the key word of the week that we've had everybody on. Everybody's a badass, It's kind of funny how people say that.
Randy coined that term. She started throwing it around. I think that it was part of her mantra, and something that
Speaking of the devil, look who it is.
There she is. Love you too. She started just throwing it around, and I think it kind of sunk in for all of us, like, especially on that stage, her like, this was a badass thing that we achieved. We are coming together as a group of badass women, and we are going to continue to do badass things. And so I love that word. And I think that it is a perfect embodiment of everything.
BADAZZ. Let's put the AZZ on it so it doesn't get tagged anywhere else on
For a little bit of pizzazz. There you go.
There it is, pizzazz. Okay, to wrap it up here, if there's anybody out there that's watching this and they're deciding, should they fill out the application for next year for the scholarship, can you give them any advice?
Be yourself. I 100% encourage you to do it, even if there's just a small portion of you that's thinking about it. Even if you haven't been nominated for it, you yourself know the value that you're bringing to things. And if you can fill out literally a whole application about the things that you want to do, the ideas that you want to make happen, and the value that you've already brought to an organization, then you are exactly in the place that you should be and the exact type of person who should be applying to this. You truly, speaking from experience, have no idea where it can take you. And so it's one of the greatest gifts and greatest things you can do for yourself is, put that trust and put that vote towards yourself and just really see where it can land. And the opportunities are endless with this, and this isn't the only way to make that move for yourself, but it is an incredible way to just take stock of everything that you've done and everything that you want to do. And it's an extremely empowering process in and of itself, regardless of what the results may be. And if you have the opportunity to go to Thrive or Staffing World, either way, just take full advantage of it. And it's an incredible opportunity. So do it.
Embrace the moment. Well said there. And hopefully sooner or later, your staffing company will be part of ASA, part of our family,
Yes.
So little endorsement there. Join us, man. We will welcome you with arms and big hugs the whole time. Well, hey, Isabella, thank you so much for coming on here. We got one more show left here. And all I can wrap it up with, this whole week has been one thing. You guys are badass. I got to tell you that. Hey, thank you so much. We'll see you in a couple minutes here for another show.
Thank
Take
you.
care, guys.